Hello, everybody. This is Jean, or as I'm occasionally known, Pow Barabajaggle. That was good. Now there it is, Barabajaggle. I just got this album. I'm really disappointed, though, because I used to have this on vinyl. I love this album. And this Donovan album has to be like one of the more budget line. No book at all. Look at that. What a drag. I mean, the printing's nice. The package looks nice if they, like, put a book in it. But it's apparently some kind of budget line deal. So, I'm glad to get this album again, though. Anyway, this is going to be... I hope I don't make this too long-winded, but I do want to talk about a bunch of things. So kind of a vlog, and not necessarily a record collector vlog, but more a music fan who has instruments she can't play vlog. So I bought myself a present, and I want to do an unboxing here because I'm really excited and amazed to get this, and I hope it's not like in a million pieces when I open it up. But well, let's go back in time. Before I really became interested in rock music, I had some piano lessons and I had some guitar lessons in grade school. My mom got me this big classical guitar, which was way too big and unwieldy for me, and I would haul it on the bus to school and haul it back, and we lived like a mile from the bus stop, so it was this big massive thing. And I never got very good at it. The music teacher really didn't teach me that much, and because it was so hard to make chords with these big nylon strings on a big massive guitar when I'm in first grade and second grade, I don't know. I learned some basics, but not much. And then it's kind of the same with piano. What I learned with piano was I learned how to rudimentarily, if that's a word, read music, and how to play When the Saints Come Marching In as fast as I could, because I thought that's really cool. I got to play it kind of fast. And I guess really my mom's intention was for me to learn how to play music to kind of entertain her friends. And I got sent to charm school and a number of things because I wasn't. She told me at one point, "You're going to charm school because you're not charming." I was a real tomboy. This just was not going to be... I wasn't going to be the entertainment machine. So one day I came home and the piano was gone, and I was bummed about that because I thought, it was my piano or our piano or something, but she probably rented it. I don't even know. It was an upright. And I had the classical guitar for years and years, and I can't even remember what happened to it. So I gave it to someone probably finally. But I got a Sears electric guitar that looked like a Stratocaster and was actually a pretty good guitar. After it had the ugliest headstock, but the body was decent, and it had no name on it. So, I don't know, made in Korea or something. I got that once I was into records and things, so I rudimentarily tried to learn electric guitar. I did get an amp at one point. I had a Marshall amp. Isn't that ridiculous? But I saved up my money and got this Marshall amp, and I never really played very loud because, I lived at home, and I was a good kid, actually. I didn't want to get in trouble or anything. So eventually sold that amp too. But I also had a bass guitar. The bass guitar was from when I went to a flea market with my dad in, I think, 1986. And my dad and I were not very close. My dad really was uncomfortable with having kids and being a family guy. And he got stuck with 2 kids and a wife he didn't like. So they got divorced around the time I started college. But he got me a couple things in my life which I really appreciated. He got me my pickup truck, and he got me this bass guitar, and my Vespa scooter. Those were like the 3 incredible things my dad got me. And thank you, Dad, for doing that. But he did not like rock and roll. And that he actually was willing to get me a bass guitar I saw at the swap meet, which was a Rickenbacker 4001 for $500 with a Sun amp, which was an extra $100. So for $600, he got me this incredible Rickenbacker bass. 1973 Rickenbacker. I don't have it anymore because in 2007, I decided to adopt a parrot, and he was $500. And even though I knew this Rickenbacker was worth more, I knew someone who would buy it for $500. And I have my parrot Lenny still. And that Rickenbacker is in a very good place. So I'm happy with that. I was thinking about trying to get it back, but we've moved on. So I was thinking this year I would buy myself a bass finally, because I've kind of always felt bad that I don't have that bass anymore. So I was gonna buy a bass, and I started kind of shopping for a bass, and I found something else that I decided to get instead. And it was a pretty good deal. It was around $200 and then like $100 for shipping, something like that. And it arrived today, so I wanted to do an unboxing. But first, I'm also going to give you a whirlwind tour of the other weird instruments I've acquired in the past 10 years. So I have an electric guitar, I have an acoustic guitar, I have a student mandolin, I have an electric violin, which is a cheap electric violin, but I always wanted an electric violin. And I just got a little mini keyboard, which is the first time I've, dealt with any kind of keyboard since that piano that I had in the house in 2nd grade, 3rd grade. So I'm excited about all these things, and let's just see if I can figure out how to maneuver this to look at things. Okay, so here's my bed. Yeah, you can see the acoustic. Let me see if I can... This is all new to me, guys, so sorry I'm not quite getting... Okay, here. If I go this way, yeah. So see this acoustic? Can we pull out and see it better? So this is a, they call them a parlor guitar, so it's a smaller scale than a regular acoustic. It's not a classical, it has steel strings. And I got that, I think about 2019, but it's actually a Martin. I mean, it's not a high quality Martin, it's like composite, composite materials. So it's kind of like, a plywood thing. I am not getting this in the frame, sorry. Let me try this some more. How do we do this? That better? Jeez. Okay, well, we're going back to me for the moment. Anyway, I'll pick up the Martin. So, the guy I bought this from on Craigslist had intended to, he wasn't so much a guitar player as he was a Neil Young collector. So he intended to do some meet and greet with Neil Young and get it signed. And with the pandemic, that wasn't going to happen, and he just decided he wanted to sell this guitar. So I think if you can look in here, it's like LXM, which is LXM Little Martin, made in Mexico. So yeah, it's a cheaper Martin. I really like that it's a parlor size, you know, because, boy, I don't want a big... When I can get smaller guitars, I will. I'm kind of not into the really heavy wreck your shoulder non-ergonomic things as much anymore. But there's some guitars like that are cool. Now, the intention is that I will actually learn to play someday. Now, I'm not someone who's planning on writing songs, recording music, but just the practice of learning to figure out some songs, I would love to get there. I would love to, you know, go back and learn more music theory. I actually did take a class in music theory once in college. And the more you read things and pay attention, you learn things if you try. So that's my intent. I always used to say I want to be like the Del Rubio triplets when I'm 70 or 80, where, you know, I'm an old lady who's learned how to play music, you know, so I've got, I don't know, 20, 30 years to learn to play music here, finally. Okay, so I'm going to show you my electric violin, because that also I love. And I actually know some people who can play violin in my more immediate circle at work, so I'm getting hints on what to do as far as simple things like holding it and, you know, how to bow properly and use rosin and use a shoulder rest. I mean, I don't know. I just always wanted to learn. So here's my electric violin. This is a cheap one. I may actually get a better one because I've kind of learned more that it really is pretty cheap. It's like a Cecilio violin. Can you read that? But it's white. It has active electronics where it's got a little 9-volt in it, and then you switch it on and you can play using just your headphones, or you can hook it up to an amp. So that's, turn it off. And I've got tuners, rosin. This is my shoulder rest for it, which I learned that once I use a shoulder rest, I don't have to use that chin rest. I didn't know that. I thought it had to fit. So, you know, it's simple things I need to learn. This is my amp these days. It's a little bitty pig nose practice amp, but that's plenty when you live in an apartment. Here's my keyboard. It's a, can you see that? There, that better? There. Sorry about the angles. This is, oh, I can't turn it on because I need to plug it in. I don't have batteries in it. This is a Yamaha PSS A50. So it's actually got a lot of synthesizer noises and samples in it. So the piano sounds really good. The key action is really good for a $100 thing. You know, I figured there's things I can learn with this. I can figure out things on here that I can transfer over to other instruments. So just as far as reading music and then doing things by ear. So let's see what else we got here. Here's my little cheap mandolin. It's a Rogue, which is, I think, pretty much about as cheap as it gets, but it's actually decent, you know. And I'm learning all about how difficult it is to tune. But boy, this is not going to be the only difficult to tune thing. And speaking of tuning, well, first I'll show you this Rogue. I just think it's really cool. You know, I'd like to learn both violin and mandolin, fiddle, just because they can be used as kind of in an accompaniment situation with somebody else, you know. Okay, my electric guitar that I have is an SG, if you can believe it. Where is my SG? There's my SG. Oh, I'm making you guys go all around. Sorry about that. There, that's it. So, when my mom passed away, is that focused? Does that focus? Anyway, when my mom passed away in 2013, you know, I felt like, well, I'm gonna use some of the money to buy myself a couple of fun things for me. You know, I've tried to be good, might as well get myself a guitar. So I went on Amazon on Black Friday and got an actual Gibson SG, which, see, I used to wear this little pin of an SG because I wanted an SG, and I just figured someday I'll get enough money to get it rather than have my Sears Stratocaster. And I really wanted to get a white custom with the 3 gold pickups and all the gold hardware, the really flashy white SG, because that's what Michael Nesmith had in head for Circle Sky, and I just thought that was the coolest guitar ever, and I didn't know anybody else who played that. You know, of course, AC/DC and Angus Young and the red SG, but to me, the SG was the Michael Nesmith guitar. So, because I like Circle Sky. So I finally decided, okay, I'm going to get this SG, and it's the model it is called 60s Tribute. I'm like, well, that's cool. It's not white. It doesn't have the gold hardware, but I couldn't afford that anyway. I'm buying me, you know, at least a 60s style Gibson. Well, I got it, and I hadn't read all about it. It had a feature that I wouldn't have gotten purposefully. It's called an eTune, Min-eTune. And what this does, see, I saw it said something about having a tuner. I'm like, oh, it has some little thing that makes noise, and you tune it to your strings to that, and that's kind of cool. No, this is a robot tuner, which actually now I don't hate as much. But can I turn it on and show you what it does? Do I have the battery in it even? Yes, I do have the battery. I just have to activate it. Oh. You know what? Okay, got it. So, here we turn it on. See? Okay, so first you hit this string, and the pegs move around. And you hit the next string, and it gets that one in tune. And you hit this string, gets that one in tune. So, and then it turns itself off. So it's done. The thing, I felt like, well, I can tune. I should learn to tune. I feel kind of dumb for having this thing on my guitar. But what I didn't realize was it actually can do all kinds of weird tuning. So if you suddenly want to turn it into a drop D tuning, you just choose a different program and it does drop D for you. You could do any number of blues tunings. So over time I've decided, yeah, it's a cool thing. There are some reviews saying, oh, it doesn't always get it right in tune and it's difficult to fine tune it. These are really stiff as far as trying to do any sort of fine tuning, but I found that it really actually does get it in tune. I mean, so that's my funny SG. I like my SG more than I used to. I am very proud to have my SG. Now we're going to go and do the unboxing here. Getting things out of the way. Oh. So, what do you think I got? Well, I can talk even more, so I'm gonna... I had this friend growing up named Chris Bryan, and Chris lived right across from me, and he was about 5 years older than me. And I got into the Beatles in like 1981. And I sort of knew Chris and Eric and Hal. Hal was a little younger than me, and Eric and Chris were older than me. Both our dads were pilots, so we lived out where they had their airplanes, like, um, they would go to air shows and stuff. So we lived where you could have an airplane in your garage. But Chris and Eric were big Beatles fans. And I didn't really realize that till I got into the Beatles. I didn't know who the Beatles were. My parents were not baby boomers. They were older than that. So when I got into the Beatles and started hanging out with Chris, and Chris became, a good friend of mine, and Eric and his friend Mike Flint also became friends of mine, but I was closest to Chris. Chris also was really into the Rolling Stones, and I had gotten into the Rolling Stones too, and Chris liked Brian Jones, and he was amazed that some 15-year-old girl knew who Brian Jones was. Of course, he's like 20, 21 or something. It's not that he's that much older. So we kind of would hang out and talk about music, and we had totally platonic. Chris was funny, but I was really, really this tomboy kid. So I'd loan him records. He'd learn how to play songs for his cover bands that he had later. And he started accumulating all these guitars and instruments. And I got to kind of learn about, 60s gear from Chris. So Chris had a Gibson Firebird later. So, that was, Brian Jones had one. But his pride and joy was his Rickenbacker 360, and it was a Sunburst. So it was the perfect George Harrison, Roger McGuinn, Tom Petty guitar. And I got to hold it and make a couple chords on it now and then and stuff like that. So I loved that guitar. He loved that guitar. Once he had that guitar in his hand, he leapt over a table at a Roger McGuinn show in a bar and got Roger McGuinn to sign his name in the F hole. Poor Roger McGuinn, this maniac. But Chris died a couple years ago. I think he actually died from COVID, being one of the really first cases, because it was late 2019 and he had gotten meningitis and was in the hospital, and suddenly he wound up dying. And his brother Eric was there with him the whole time, and Eric got really sick, and all the symptoms sound like COVID. He had so much trouble breathing and all this, but he made it through. So I really miss Chris. Chris and I weren't as close as when we were growing up, but he's totally who I learned about, 60s gear and more the musician side of things through him. And he learned how to play all sorts of 60s songs. He had a band called the Britons that just were a 60s cover band, but the main thing was he always tried to be as authentic as he could. So he learned like dulcimer, and he learned cello, and he learned sitar, and he just accumulated all this stuff. But of course, he loved his 12-string. He'd play Bells of Rhymney. He'd play If I Needed Someone. He'd play, every Tom Petty song. He'd come over to my house, and I had MTV, so I would use my VCR and videotape Tom Petty videos for him. And I was into REM, so, 12-string there, so I'm copying REM videos. And So I bought myself a 12-string. It's not a Rickenbacker, but it's like a Rickenbacker on a budget. And I've heard it's actually a fairly good guitar for an incredibly low price. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, I gotta somehow... Thanks for hanging in with me. How long have I been talking? 25 minutes. That's great. I hope you actually are still there. Oh, look at that. Now you can see my frightening little room. Oh, this is a company called Harley Benton. They're in Germany. Oh my God, this is cool. Oh, I'm so happy. Wow. Well, I know somebody who can set it up for me. I know. Wow. Hey, it's an exciting unboxing for me. Oh, man. Yeah, it's of course not the same headstock, but pretty damn neat. Oh, man. Thomann is the company. They're German. They make all kinds of, you know, rip-off classic guitars that are actually supposed to be pretty good for being under, you know, $400. But Rickenbacker is a company that's, you know, doesn't do cheap versions. All their guitars are thousands of dollars nowadays. Oh, I am so happy with this. Okay, I gotta get the little tag off it. But I'll give... Oh, wow. I mean, geez, can you see this? Look at this. Sorry, I was looking at the guitar rather than the camera. Wow. Oh man, and I mean it's a semi-hollow body. Oh man. So this was my Valentine's Day present to me. Because you know, oh, probably out of tune, but look at that. Look at this. Oh, that's fantastic. Boy, I get to tune. No, we're not even going to try, but... Oh, man. Okay. I'll quit just saying, oh, man, over and over. You gotta look at this guitar. Yeah, like a $200 guitar. This is crazy. Look at that. Wow. It's a pretty wide neck. I mean, Chris, the real one just seems so fine and small and oh man. See, I mean, it's not a Rickenbacker headstock, but that's not ugly. That's cool. Dot inlay. Oh, holy crap. Okay, so that's my video. Look at my present to me. See, you should get yourself presents. Oh man. Wow. Okay. Thank you for watching. I guess I'm gonna post this. It's just kind of me going, wow, wow, but talking a whole lot for 25 minutes first. And I get to learn how to tune it. I have tuners, so we'll work on it. Take care, have a good day, and there you go. Bye.